Oh, there actually is one Planeswalker. That's... Hey everyone, I'm Corjo or CJ, and in this video we are going to be going over the 4 Dragonstorm Tarkir deck called Mardu Surge. This is a clearly Mardu deck, and I do find Mardu to be kind of one of the hardest decks to actually make good and resolve. So in this video I'll be going over the commander, the sub-commander, the context of the deck, some of my thoughts and opinions, and all to answer the question, is it worth it? But before I go any further, a quick word from my sponsor. I know he's really annoying, which is me and my small little Etsy shop where I make t-shirts and hoodies in multiple colours and multiple designs and sizes for people to enjoy. I really do like making them, and it really does help out the channel. But also, if you like me and what I do, you can help out the channel by liking and subscribing to all that other YouTuber stuff. So if you like what I do, buy yourself something nice. So let's start this off with the wonderful and amazing commander, and he is Zergo Storm Renderer. For a red, white and a black, you get a legendary creature Orc Warrior that is a mythic. Has mobilize 1. Whenever a creature token you control leaves the battlefield, draw a card if it was attacking, otherwise each opponent loses 1 life, and is a 3/3. I like this commander. I really like cheap commander cost-wise that have really good ability. So whenever this attacks, it gets a 1/1 attacking red warrior as well, which also then triggers its kind of second ability, which pretty much just means since it's attacking, you get to draw a card. So whenever this creature attacks, you get to draw a card if this creature lives, which is really cool. Plus 3 mana for a 3/3 is really good. Now, there's many things you can do with this, and I think the deck will probably end up having bits and pieces of it where it's 1, adding keywords to this commander, giving it vigilance, giving it lifelink, giving it death touch, giving it double strike, first strike, and all that is really good. Powering it up with other things is also a really good thing for that thing to kind of happen as well. Second thing is pretty much damage doublers. There's red, so you're able to play red sources do like 2 more damage. Then again, red sources do double or triple damage as well. So that 1 damage to each opponent kind of then becomes 3 and 5, and then it keeps growing from there. Plus with white and black in it, you're able to get many tokens like angels, warriors, zombies and stuff like that, which if they're not attacking, you're then able to sacrifice them. Plus there's also stuff in the deck that if you hit your graveyard, you're able to do extra damage too. So this is what I like about this commander. You can hard focus on doubling, tripling its damage, you can hard focus on the draw, you can hard focus on making a large army of tokens and sacrificing them, or just making a large amount of tokens in general. This commander is really good because there's multiple ways to play it, or you can have it a little bit of all, which again is amazing. But now with that, we have the sub-commander, and the sub-commander is Nevery Crackling Vanguard. For 2 red, white and a black, you get a legendary creature Spirit Dragon that is a mythic. Has flying and death touch. Whenever it enters, create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. Whenever Nerev attacks, exile a number of cards from the top of your library equal to the number of different named tokens you control. During any turn you attack with a commander, you may play those cards, and is a 4/4. So not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest fan of this. I do think 5 mana for 4/4 with Flying Death Touch is good. I really do like the ability that when it ETBs, you're able to get 2 goblins, especially since there's white in it. There's a lot of flicker as well, so you're able to flicker this commander over and over again. It's its last ability. I'm not the biggest fan when it comes to red spells, exiling cards and being able to play them later on. I do think that since it says commander, you can have this in the 99 in most of your decks if that's what you're aiming for, because it says commander other than this card, which is good. But again, I think having kind of your hand and then your exile hand, I'll call it, is very annoying separating it, especially since there needs to be a lot of ramp. Now, building this deck with the commander and sub-commander in mind, trying to have it that it's good for all kind of the abilities seems very difficult, because when I see this, I'm like, you need to add in kind of, again, more flicker, more probably attacks each turn, so like the cards that say have an extra combat, and then kind of cards that let you exile cards from the top of your library and then play them later on. So having this and then the different play styles of the commander, I find it's going to be a hard focus, and there's going to be a lot of random cards, because just looking, I haven't looked through the deck yet, but I say there's probably going to be like a Path of Exile or Swords to Plowshare or something like that, and then cards like that that they throw in majority of these decks. So I say with the low card count and the many cards needed to make the commander good or the sub-commander good, and the different ways to play both, the rest of the deck is going to be kind of hard to focus on anything, so it's going to be kind of generically good stuff everywhere and not in a good way in my opinion. But first, let's talk about the Planeswalker. In this deck, you actually get a Planeswalker, and if you don't know who the Planeswalker is, it is Kaya Jest Hunter. For 1 white and a black, you got a legendary Planeswalker Kaya that is a mythic. Starts on 3 loyalty. +1, creatures you control gain Death Touch until end of turn. Put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature token you control. -2. Until end of turn, if 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many tokens would be created instead. -6. Exile all cards from your graveyard, then create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying for each card exiled this way. Not gonna lie, usually there is a hit and miss when it comes to the cards they pick when it comes to the Planeswalkers, and I'm not actually complaining about this, but it did also make me think, for both the commander and the sub-commander, having token doublers in there too. Mainly when I think of token doublers, I think of green, that's why I didn't think of it. So having a Planeswalker that doubles your tokens is really good, especially with the sub-commander, because you get 4 instead of 2. But then kind of +1ing it to power up 1 of your little tokens if you're planning on going that army token is okay, but it'll be easy for them to just kill Kaya. I do like this card for this deck. I do think it is good for both the commander and the sub-commander, so hopefully to kind of go along that track with the rest of this deck. So talking about the rest of the deck, let's go on to the creatures of this deck. When it comes to this, there is 32 in total, but you get creatures just like Nox Strike Leader, Ironwool Forger, Bone Devourer, Goldlust Triad, Redoubled Storm Singer, Adeline Replacement Caither, Angel of Invention, Emerald Angel, Hero of Bladehold, Selfless Spirit, Sun Titan, Twilight Drover, Chittering Witch, Gix Yogmoth Praetor, Mindblade Render, Onfanmancer, Yehenny Undying Partisan, Grenzo Havoc Razor, Legion Warboss, Orc Battle Driver, Siege Gang Commander, Maya Battlesphere, and Solemn Simulacrum. So looking at the creatures, my fears have literally been told. Second I seen this, I forgot to say earlier on, they always put in a Swords to Plowshare or the other white exile card, and then they always put in a Sun Titan. Whenever there is a kind of white kind of deck, they always throw in Sun Titan. Sun Titan is in way too many of these decks. To be honest, I think actually Grave Titan would have been the better version here, and they didn't have that in here. There is a lot of cards, and that's what my fear is. There's a lot of good cards in here, but they're all over the place in my personal opinion. It seems to be they just get, like, if they're going to make a token deck, they're going to put in a bunch of like Mirror Battlesphere and anything that makes tokens, and then if they're making a Goblin deck, they're going to put in Siege Gang Commander and other like other cards that make goblins, and then there's also the other cards that like it seems to be a bit all over the place. It feels like I'm kind of reading 2 or 3 the decks that they usually build when it comes to this list. There is a fair few cards that I was kind of shocked and being like, that's actually kind of cool, or I like that. There was majority of cards going, yeah, I could have guessed it's in here. Yeah, it's in all the decks. Whenever there's a red pip with goblins, they're going to throw this card in and a Sun Titan here, and like there seems to be probably like a kind of generic list they use that they throw in every single one of these decks. So again, it's kind of like not feeling new. It feels like they've just gotten 2 decks that they've made previously and smashed them together, in my personal opinion so far. But let's go on to spells. When it comes to spells, there's 13 in total, but you get spells just like Will of the Mardu, Grand Crescendo, Hour of Reckoning, Eliminate the Competition, Tempt with Vengeance. I'm liking these will cards. These will cards, in my opinion, are really cool. The rest of the cards are just kind of like, oh yeah, cool, like fine. There's like no big complaints. It's nothing like amazing. I do think Hour of Reckoning is, I've seen it a lot, but it's kind of one of those cards that I just fly past. So I'm like, Where do I keep seeing this card? It might be in their list of if there's a white pip, here's the board wipe they pick. I know there is some really cool ones that like let you board wipe, gain a bit of life, and make a bunch of tokens. I'm like, why isn't that in there? I do think when it comes to this, the spells are okay. Again, nothing like amazing, nothing fancy, nothing like outstandingly good or anything like that. It just seems to be, other than the will card, just seems to be the generic cards they put in. There might have been one or two else that are just generically good for this deck, so we'll just have to see. So let's go on to the enchantments next. When it comes to enchantments, there is 6 in total, but you get cool enchantments just like Within Range, Commander's Insignia, Divine Visitation, Legion Loyalty, Tocasia's Welcome. So far, I think this is the best section of the deck. Myriad, I didn't even think of. It is such a powerful ability, especially for a bunch of the cards in the deck. I do think, and I understand why, I think commanders should get like away with Myriad, but there's going to be some commanders that will be absolutely broken with it. I do like Divine Visitation. I do think it's a very powerful card, but I think the mana cost of it is the downside. I do think it is such a powerful and good card, I've just never been able to make it work for me. So now let's go on to the artifacts of the deck. When it comes to the artifacts, there is 11 in total, 6 of them being mana rocks, which clearly seems needed in my opinion with the amount of big spells and kind of how much mana you need for this type of deck. But you get other artifacts just like Infantry Shield, Blade of Selves, Idol of Oblivion. So Blade of Selves and the Shield are good in my opinion. I do like Blade of Selves for a lot of the cards in this deck, and I do think the Shield is a good thing for the deck. Idol of Oblivion is literally just that card that seems to be in all of these type of decks. When it comes to this, it's like, it makes a token, it lets you draw a card, bing bam boom, done. This with the Kaya Planeswalker, if you -2 her, would be kind of funny in my opinion. But again, it's one of those cards I've seen, and I know like so many people having like 3 to 6 to 8 of them. There is kind of easy to get your hand on this card. So then finally, the lands. When it comes to lands, it's usually the biggest complaint I have when it comes to these type of decks. So let's go through them. In this deck, you get 37 lands, but you get lands just like Castle Ardenvale, Castle Embereth, Clifftop Retreat, Dragon School Summit, Fetid Heath, Isolated Chapel, Shattered Sanctum, Smoldering Marsh, Vault of the Archangel, and Windrisk Heights. This, in my opinion, is good. So usually they do a lot worse, and when I say I want them to do better, it's usually not much better. They usually have cards that go well, or lands that go well with the deck because it'll tap for mana, but will also do something the deck needs. This does that. Then they will have a filter land. Realistically, what I'm kind of been asking for is kind of whatever deck they build, add a filter land if it's 2 colours. If it's 3 colours, add 2 filter lands. I think that would make this thing perfect. The land base isn't that bad, but as a new deck and how filter lands are super cheap now, I do think putting cards that work well with the deck, which they've done in this one, they didn't do it in one of the decks, and then also add in, depending on how many colours, 1 or 2 filter lands. It seems to be, in my personal opinion, it is always close. So it's like 90%, of my opinion, worth it through the lands. Adding in that 1 or 2 lands would make it like really good. So when I say I want them to do better in the lands, I don't mean like put in really expensive, crazy old art lands. Just 1 or 2 cards that work well with the deck, and then 1 or 2 filter lands. Other than that, the rest is fine, in my personal opinion. So now my thoughts on this deck as a whole. As I said at the start, I find the Commander is absolutely amazing, got multiple ways to play. The SubCommander is fun in my opinion, not my type of playstyle, but people that do will enjoy that. However, it seems to be 3, 4, 5 playstyles with the Commander, and then 2, 3, 4 with the SubCommander as well. And then the deck seems to kind of go, we don't know who to make happy. We don't know if we want to do this ability or that ability, so they kind of just threw in a bunch of cards that do a little bit of everything that's bad, and then they threw in the list. The list of cards that they put in majority of these decks, like the Arcane Signet, Soul Ring, and then the Swords Plowshare, and then the Sun Titans, and then the Idol of Oblivion and stuff like that, it just seems to be a generic, if you don't know what to put in the deck, throw one of these in. So that's what this deck feels like to me. I do think, realistically, if anyone actually bought the Commander, could make a really powerful deck, especially with throwing in like Anger in there to get haste, or a few different ways to get haste, adding extra attacks, token doublers. Like, the Commander can go really far, really fast, plus putting stuff in your graveyard, reanimating it, and then making sure that if anything hits your graveyard, they lose life, and people taking 2 or 3 damage and losing life. And since there's a white pit, throw in a Teferi's Protection. They won't do it in the actual deck if anyone was doing this on their own. I do find the Commander to be the biggest push on this. I do think this is possibly one of the most powerful Commanders they could have built in the last little while, but it seems to be you would have to put money in it to make it really good. If anyone actually makes a good deck when it comes to this, link me your Mox Field or whatever you build it on down below, because I would love to see this as a deck. The rest of the deck, in my opinion, is where it all plummets. Again, it seems to be they had multiple ideas, multiple threads, and they just got lost. Overall, I would probably give this, it's not bad, there's a lot of cool stuff in it. I do think the Commander and the SubCommander is giving it the biggest push, but overall I'm giving it a 6.2 in my personal opinion. But as always, let me know what you think of the deck, what cards you would love to see in it, what cards would you take out, how would you build it, and all that other stuff down in the comments down below. While you're there, remember to like and sub and comment and watch more of my videos. And if you like this one, I have the previous deck here, a playlist of all the Is It Worth It Magic the Gathering stuff I do here, and a subscribe button here, and I shall see you all in the next video.